Hello, everybody! Welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Today we have for you a semifinals match in the Link to the Past Rando Crosskeys tournament. This is game 1 between Schulzer and Ramond. Today on comms, we have Dr. Bob-tastic and Amazing Ampharos. And tracking for us, we have Breve. And the commentators will take it from here.
Alright, hello everybody. Welcome once again to the 2022 Crosskeys tournament. What can I say? This is, as always, going to be a mess of a run, because Crosskeys is going to do that, but it's going to be a fun time, and with me today is basically the founder of the Crosskeys tournament, Amazing Ampharos. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm definitely excited for our second semifinal. On this side, we have Schulzer and Ramond. This is only game 1 of a best of 3, so there's going to be a little bit of a road here. But the winner is looking to take on ALttPR in the finals of the tournament.
So, I apologize if my audio quality is a little low. I'm gonna try to work on that, but I'm broadcasting from a location I'm not usually broadcasting from, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, not everyone who's good at speedrunning is also hyper-organized and ahead of time, so we kind of threw this restream together at the last minute, so there's going to be a couple little things here and there, but I'm hoping we can give a great experience for you guys today.
Okay, well, we've got a Castle Tower small key there in the first chest of Sanctuary, so all of a sudden, Aga 1 is a thing that gets a little bit more likely. Of course, that one small key gives you access to both chests in Aga Tower, which I'm much happier to check the chests than I am to actually check the whole thing.
Of course, we still don't know where Ganon is, so that Castle Tower small key could be completely essential just to beat the seed in a basic way. But what I also find really interesting here is we had 2 Sank starts, 2 men after my own heart here, but then they immediately went for this sort of northern toward the Lost Woods play. Finally some divergence with checking the connector, but you usually wouldn't expect both players to take this sort of starting route, but they did here.
Connector taking you right back to Kakariko, so it looks like the rest of us are, or Schulzer is going to go check the rest of Kakariko. We did find Ganon there in the Lost Woods, but an entrance to Hyrule Castle in the bushhouse of Kakariko Village. Other notable areas we found a entrance to Paradox Cave in Blind's Hut, and we found Mimic Cave in the door right next to it. The Paradox Cave entrance, however, is the one you can't actually get into without the mirror.
Yeah, and I'd say so far we haven't really found anything too crazy. The biggest thing I'll take note of is that Schulzer is kind of setting the tone early for what his strategy is going to be, aggressively checking connectors as he finds them. And so far, it's just sort of given him extra directions to go while exploring the light world, but we'll see what some of the longer-term consequences of this routing are.
The algorithms professor in me is sitting here saying, okay, so Schulzer is doing a depth first search, and Ramond is doing a breadth first search. That's exactly what's going on here. Oh, and there's Paradox Cave entrance. Both runners going to find that.
Yeah, we have a lot of sort of interesting finds. Castle Tower with that key. I mean, Schulzer literally can't go in without any bombs. But speaking of bombs, the fact that Ramond found those rupee crabs with bomb drops and Schulzer is not, could definitely play into the route. Schulzer has enough money to buy bombs from his shop, but as he heads towards Eastern, there's a possibility he finds something really annoying to find without bombs, like, say, Agana's Cave or something.
Yeah. You definitely want to have bombs for quite a few different places. Hype Cave, for one thing. I mean, you can get one item in Hype Cave, but having to remember to go back is kind of annoying. We did see the well. I think that was in. I don't remember where that was.
That is behind the lumberjack tree, so Aga 1 takes the well.
Gross.
And we're seeing a very early clear laser bridge. At this level, when you find laser bridge, you just got to do it. But Schulzer's showing he pretty much has it handled. This is, for anyone who's less experienced, just not free. You can die like 4 or 5 times doing this with 3 hearts, no useful items, very easily.
Really, you just gotta the trick to it, and you can figure out whatever way works for you the best. But the trick is to remember that the only part of the laser that can actually damage you is the front end. Everything else is secondary. So if you just go right past that, you should be fine. I tend to use an audio cue near the end, but everybody's got their own way. And clearly, Schulzer has a very, very good system for this.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, the hardest part with that kind of equipment isn't even really the lasers. I mean, they'll kill you, but that hard hat beetle can be a huge.
Oh my god! Yeah, no bombs. You can't even mess with it. You have to just kind of put it in the corner somewhere and try to not attract its attention, which is just not happening. So Ramond is now going to find the other end of this connector. Oh.
As for the question of how lasers work in real life, I challenge you to build a laser that isn't a continuous beam. It's hard. Like one that's not just reflecting back and forth off mirrors.
Yeah,
and we find a glove in the lumberjack tree, which is at the magic bat. So hammer leads to glove. That's rather consequential. The good news is we know we won't have to get there with Mitts plus mirror.
What if we get there with connector plus mirror?
That is totally possible, and if that's what's required in this seed, I bet Schulzer, who is so much more enthusiastic to check connectors, will find it first.
That makes plenty of sense. Got a big key to Turtle Rock there in the back of the tavern, which you always want to find that. I mean, assuming you want to beat Turtle Rock in the first place. And of course, since there are 7 crystals, any given dungeon is more likely to be required than not. Only a few dungeons for which the big key is not required. And only 2 where it's not required by logic.
I want to just point out a really small thing here. So, Ramond was just lifting the 2 bushes and bombing this hut open, as you do. But he set the bomb and then picked up the bushes, grabbed his bomb that was partway through its detonation timer, walked down and threw it into the wall. He had saved himself. That has to be a good quarter of a second, just with that little bit of extra work, and not many players do that. That's just the sort of fine optimizations we have going here.
And once you reach, this level of competitiveness, you gotta get every little second you possibly can. It's certainly something I wouldn't have thought to do.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, we find early Eastern, and both players saying, I want what this dungeon has to offer. Which is interesting, because with this being in such an accessible location, I think the meta would be to leave it behind for a bit, but there's certainly a decent chance there's something important in here. The first 2 chests are not delivering, but there's 2 more coming.
Yeah, so with Eastern Palace, it's kind of a weird thing. I like going in and checking it when I don't have the bow or the big key, or when I have both the bow and the big key. But I don't like going in when I have just one.
My general rule of thumb on it is it's less about what I have and more about where the entrance is. Like here, Eastern's just in CAC, and you have Sank in CAC, so I'm like, I can come back here at very low cost later very easily. So that would be my determining factor. Whereas if you find it like in the shopping mall in the Dark World, yeah, I'm just going in.
Yeah, you just gotta do it. Did find the Misery Mire big key here. Of course, no Misery Mire to speak of just yet, but that would be...
Yeah, that's one of the less exciting early game ones anyway, because you need either a hookshot or boots to do anything with that, no matter what.
Absolutely. Kind of a huge pain, but you never know. Those things could pop up just any time. And I have seen way too many seeds that expected an early dip into Mire. So, who in the world knows?
And of course, this last chest here in this early Eastern dip is not in logic without the lamp, but at this level, that's not going to stop anyone. We will have our 20 rupees, and we will enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mire Big is definitely more of a long-term value item. It's possible they'll be really happy to find it before they would be naturally led into Eastern. For the most part, you kind of look at that as not a great dive, as, you apply those results-based analysis, which are clearly the right way to look at things.
Of course. Schulzer finally picking up that Turtle Rock big key as well. Ramond now heading into the south area, back towards the good old library and brother's house, etc. We've got A45 taken care of. Nothing important there to speak of.
So Schulzer found what is, in my opinion, a pretty S-tier connector, just immediately letting him finish off the Ice Rod Cave area. Located Ice Palace, which doesn't do anything for us right now, but that's just 2 Sphere Zero entrances that would otherwise be very inconvenient, and probably the most out-of-the-way Glove Rock on average, all cleared out, and knowledge you never have to deal with that connector again. I consider that a lot of value from one connector check.
Absolutely. I really, really hate Glove for one thing, and just getting there, particularly out of the rock, where you don't have to go back through it, or where you won't have to go down there to check that again, just means, it might be a little less motivation to go there in the Dark World later, but big deal.
And it's also worth noting, well, for one, Schulzer did a check. I don't think Ramond has done this. Just see what type of bee he has. That is a good bee. It could be sold for 100 rupees. It can clear a mini Moldorm Cave by itself. That's basically the end of its virtues, but those are 2 things.
Those are, in fact, 2 things, yes.
And yeah, also, Schulzer found connectors to both Desert Right and the Ice Rod Cave area, so there's not really that many remaining entrances to check. We have this Hyrule Castle entrance, we have the Potion Shop entrance, we have a couple directly south of Link's house, and we have the northern drop-down. I think that's everything left sort of in Sphere Zero. We still have the right exit of Hyrule Castle too, but probably no one's too excited to go back for that connector.
We do find out there that Sahasrara the green pendant is sitting there at Thieves Town, in Sahasrara's home. So
we also found a Swamp Palace small key, which is definitely another one of those more long-term value items, but it's a pretty good one. Usually required to beat the seed, because it's very required to beat Swamp Palace.
The only way it's not required is if Swamp itself is not required, and that's not a particularly high probability.
Yeah, you would need one of our remaining 2 pendants to land in there, and you would need the 9 items behind that small key to all be non-required. Which, those 2 conditions happening at the same time, I mean, it certainly can happen, but the odds aren't in favor of it.
Alright, Schulzer setting it for the bomb jump crossing to the big chest of Turtle Rock, finds the flippers. Wow! This is entirely out of logic right now. But who knows where this other entrance to the left is.
The sort of beautiful thing about this from Schulzer's perspective is... Well, actually, no. Oh, this is awkward. Because Schulzer is going to where you would naturally Houlihan room. But fun fact, with this set of equipment, flippers, no glove, you cannot Houlihan room.
Yeah, there's no known way to pull that off.
Yeah, like, I think there are setups, I believe they require the boots, and they're really slow. But, like, effectively, it's just a closed option to Schulzer.
I feel like if you had, like, the cane, you could somehow do arbitrary code execution and land in Houlihan somehow. But that would not only be against the rules, but also really, really slow. Don't do that.
Because, yeah, all you need to do in principle is you need to desync the camera from Link's position just enough so it gets a little confused about where the hole goes. But that's pretty hard to do with our current items. Now, there's a Moon Pearl. We have seen a connector to South Dark World, I believe. So that could be what's wanted from us, especially with the... Well, these flippers aren't in logic, but these flippers make that connector better because that's East Dark World access.
Ramond also going to find that Moon Pearl right now. The old meta, people would have found that real early, what with the early fake flipper to Houlihan situation that people used to do.
The funny thing is, I don't even know that it's fully old meta. I think about half of the community still does that. We just happen to have people that don't.
That's just because I'm old. Alright, we got ourselves a magic bat. We don't exactly know where said powder is, but we did just pick up a bottle from the uncle there with a blue potion in it. That's always nice to have, especially when you don't know where the potion cup is.
But yeah, finding the Uncle Tunnel here does tell us it should be the Lost Woods Thief in the pyramid, so just a single item there. Always good to just sort of keep track of that as a player.
It kind of influences a bit your decision regarding whether or not you decide to climb Ganon's tower or not. Generally, the more items that are there and the more items you need, the more likely you are to actually go for it.
Oh, this routing's going to be clean for Schulzer, because he's going to get 7 items out of Paradox Cave. He's going to find the connector to South Dark World, and he's just going to go.
Yeah. I don't see why you'd turn around at that point. Especially since you checked basically everything else at this point. Garbage Fairy.
There's Zora money too, so I'm sure at his next save and quit, Schulzer's just going to do the whole Zora loop. It's too much free stuff. Even if it is out of logic, that's not the end of the world.
Free stuff indeed.
Of course, someone's going to point out that King Zora is exactly the opposite by definition of free. He is the most expensive thing in the game, but, I mean, rupees don't do anything for you. Items do.
Alright. So we have Schulzer into the Dark World. We're going to check ourselves some Pipe Cave, you know, the basic South Dark World entrances. We've got our bomb shop. We get 5-6 crystals. That's Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace. And of course, picking up a new...
That is 200 rupees so far this seed Schulzer has spent on bombs. He is having a blast.
Mm-hmm. said, rupees don't really get you anything. You might as well use them for something. Oh, there is a sick kid to go with our bottle. Interestingly enough, that would have been accessible without the Moon Pearl, but of course the Moon Pearl was quite accessible.
So Ramond's making a check that Schulzer did not. Crystal Roller Room. Again, out of logic. It would be in logic if we just found the other end of that connector in Turtle Rock. It is one of the... It is the relatively less useful cane, but, you know, we have a cane.
Yep, Cane Brian there, or Burn as it actually is. But my brain has Brian as the first thing I say now, which is how I'm a crazy person. Got it. All right. Ramond checking the big Lake Hylia Island. We find Bombos on Stumpsman there. A slightly less exciting bug net for Ramond in the brewery there.
So we've seen a sword on Hylia Island. We have Bombos here. We know where Ice Palace is. We are a mirror away from making checks in there.
Yikes. Yes, this is not swordless. There is, in fact, a sword to find.
Given Schulzer's movement when he was in Turtle Rock, I actually think he went left without fully realizing how stuck he was immediately going to be. And then as soon as he saw it, he's like, well, guess I better Death Warp, and just moved on.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Here is Zora with the most expensive heart piece of all time. But we did see another medallion sitting on the ledge here. I didn't quite catch which one it was, but we're going to find out here in a second.
Oh man, we have B-strats getting us through Spiral Cave.
Woo!
It's not doing a great job, but you know, it's doing its best.
Yeah, the bee has a little bit of ADHD. Just a little bit. And it goes after whatever it feels like at the time.
That is a very interesting connector. So, if you're Schulzer, you suddenly feel a lot of weight to everything you're doing right now, because the only way we know to reach this region is exactly what Schulzer did, which is sequential connectors, including Spiral Cave as a connector. And there's a lot of stuff up here, so you're really hoping you find progression here, and you're really hoping you don't have to double back here with something like a glove.
Yeah, West Dark World always real important. Schulzer finding a dark room there. I wasn't listening to Schulzer's audio, so I couldn't tell exactly what caused the damage in there. It was probably a hole. Put him to the one up here. But I couldn't tell you exactly which connector that was.
Yeah, and in terms of unfound connectors, it's worth noting, I believe the only connector Schulzer has seen and not checked is Castle Right. So, from Schulzer's perspective, you have to think you don't have a ton of good options with connectors. I guess we don't know what the other end of that dark room is. Also, we were at serious risk of death to B, which would have been... I mean, it would have been funny, but it would have been catastrophic, too.
Precisely. Ramond finally finds that connector to the shopping mall area that Schulzer found earlier. Takes care of that mess.
I am also noting Schulzer's route in general. He has still not checked Dark Lumberjack, so we'll see how he chooses to route that in.
Yeah. Came out at the Red Shield shop, or Curiosity shop, as some people call it. And so, went to check out Sanctuary, but not quite heading up towards Bunker Cave and Dark Lumberjack, so that is, outside the area right now.
This makes a lot of sense, but I feel like Schulzer's kind of banking on this not being Troll Woods. Which right now, with what we know, it's a 50-50, because we've seen one of the entrances and it was not the big chest entrance.
So you got...
Ooh, Castle Right leads up the mountain.
Ooh.
That is fun divergence. And there's that mire where we have a big key, but we have a blue
no means by which to cross the gap.
We have no way across the gap.
Alright, so Dark Room on Death Mountain, almost assured to be the Old Man rescue. Not guaranteed, but from the sounds I'm hearing, it definitely is.
To answer the question in chat, yes, the Cane of Burna does work on Wizrobes. Cane of Burna has pretty much the same damaging properties as swinging the Fighter Sword. Like, in the code, they actually use the same damage class. There are specific things that'll be different, like you obviously can't reflect Aga 1's blast with the Cane of Burna, but for just sort of hitting things, think of it like a Fighter Sword slash.
Ooh. So Ramond finds the mushroom there from the old man, and we find Thieves Town in his home. So secretly, Old Man is blind today.
Big key is Skull Woods. Whenever Ramond makes his way up to where Schulzer is, he'll get one additional check, so that's a bit of convenience for him.
And we can, in fact, confirm Troll Woods today. There was, if Schulzer really, really wanted to get out of there, there was one possibility, and that the hole in the back could have taken you to the middle of the back.
Yeah, so what Schulzer's basically gambling on here, and I don't think it's a crazy gamble, but it's just important to keep in mind, is that the Dark Lumberjack is not his next progression. Because if Dark Lumberjack is the next progression, that's last location for Schulzer, because it's known sequential connectors to get back there, which is just not a good situation.
Seems entirely reasonable. And yeah, orphaning one that you might eventually have, another reason to go up there with Bunker Cave happening and all that mess.
Shoutouts to my friends, the Dead Rocks, just really doing what they do best, trying to help Ramond get off the mountain.
Oh man, those are some real high-end Dead Rock maneuvers there.
Yeah, and both players found
Rock.
that free blue potion from Uncle, and both players have drank that potion. Ramond also got a hearty meal of cabbage there, and is down to 1 heart again. Yeah,
top-tier cabbage, too. Just all day. Everything particularly out to bother Ramon today. But again, gets bailed out by the entrances. It's a little extra money. Health.
Yeah, and Schulzer's going to do something that's honestly a pretty easy decision, and he's just going to clear out the castle with this sword. Most of the time loss in doing the castle super early is just struggling with, like, bombs. So the sword just simplifies this whole process. But yeah, there really wasn't a lot critical on West Death Mountain from what we saw on Ramond's side. We learned where Thieves Town is, though we know it's a pendant. We got the Skullwood's Big Key, which is a very glorified fetch quest. We got this mushroom we're going to turn in. But mostly we just have a lot more questions.
Yeah, questions. Let's just say, I mean, basically, Crosskeys is kind of like questions colon the randomizer. That's basically how it works.
Yeah, we get a mushroom turn-in right away. That's a pretty standard and, to be blunt about it, correct play. You haven't found Potion Shop yet. It's very good to walk into Potion Shop and immediately get what it has to offer. Ooh, that's fun. So that Ether Medallion we found doesn't matter for the Mire entrance because you just walk out of it. But we're in the Mire region. Now, we need the lamp to make this logical. But saving Quit to Old Man as access to a new area of the world is in logic. So you get lamp, and the game thinks you can reach Mire.
And of course, interestingly enough, we see the Swamp Palace there in the Mire Shed entrance. So that is, as always, an interesting find. But everything else in this area, pretty much garbage. At least without a mirror, we can't check anything else.
And we're about to see where the back of Old Man goes. We've, I think, seen only one unknown Dark Connector so far. So we'll see if it's that one, but more likely it's one of the other ones. Oh, that's... You know, honestly, that's pretty helpful. Like, right now it doesn't do anything for Ramond, but having a connector to the Hera entrance, that could do a lot in the long run. But yeah, Schulzer's going to find the mountain. Not going to be able to really do anything here that Ramond didn't already get done. So you have to start asking questions. What does the seed want from us? Like, I'm just kind of stuck on that Dark Lumberjack entrance.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I guess...
That was what came to mind to me.
We also can go into Ice Palace. That Bombos was in a logically accessible location, right?
Bombos was, yes.
Yeah, and Schulzer's sword is also logical. Ice Palace is just in the Ice Rod Cave, so a good progression item in the open parts of Ice Palace is very plausible as well.
Yep. I mean, there are, you know, a non-trivial number of chests you can access in Ice. I mean, it is kind of a pain, because logically there's like 4 things that are currently locked out. But by necessity, that means there are 4 things that aren't locked out. So you can definitely pick up several potential items, and I've seen it be in the very first chest way more often than it has a right to be. So
I will also throw out there that even though East Dark World is not in logic, so it's not what the seed wants from us, I 100%, I'm paying off Zora, I'm going to East Dark World, I'm doing everything these flippers let me do before I'm going into Ice Palace, whether it's in logic or not, because if I find an out-of-logic other glove or hammer or mirror, any number of things, it could just make the logical track much better.
And of course, just dealing with Ice Palace in general without any of those items is kind of a pain on its own. And of course, if you're... it's been a while since you've seen Randomizer. Another item you really want before going to Ice, if you can help, is Mario. So that you can icebreaker.
Yeah, it's exclusively to weigh down the crystal switch at the end, right? That's the only thing we use.
Yeah, of course.
there.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, we've added some quite strange things you can do with the game of Semifinals. Since the Crosskeys started, let me tell you that. Not since the tournament started; it's always been legal, but in general, like the conceit of Crosskeys since the early, the version of the entrance randomizer, or the current version of the entrance randomizer came out, it's basically been the same kind of game. It's just we've had more things legalized. One of these days, I will start making sense with the words. Go ahead.
Big thing in the community when the racing council decided that Diver Down, Icebreaker, and Harapot would all be legal. Which, it's a pretty big diversion, because all those things are not legal in NMG, and some of us might have had a preference that the direction should have been the opposite, and you should just get rid of things like Hammer Jump and not add any new glitches, but, I mean, we went the other way, and here we are.
Yep. Alright, so Ramond is now heading through that spiral cave connector, heading over to West Dark World. We'll see how this ends up being routed. In this case, Ramond goes directly.
Big possibility for what's intended in logic. It could just be the Skullwood's big chest.
There is that. That would, of course, require a visit to the Troll Woods section.
Yeah, I'd say it's basically inevitable. Ramond will go there. It's just a question of when.
Depends on how thorough he wants to be with these entrance checks beforehand. And, with Ramond sort of doing the breadth-first approach, I would expect a lot more entrances to be checked before diving deep into something that might leave you stranded. But who knows?
There's another just little bomb juggle by Ramond, dropping a bomb right as he walks into Graveyard Ledge Cave, then picking up the first pot, doubling back a little, picking it, and then picking up all the pots. That can't have even been a quarter-second save. That was like single-digit frames, but it was almost certainly faster, so there you go. And yeah, Schulzer's like, I don't see a lot of things left. There's 3 logically available items in Ice Palace, one of which is fast, 2 of which are very, very slow. I'm just gonna go in here and see what happens. And yeah, he does have a key, so Schulzer will be able to efficiently check a 4th check in here. That won't be in logic without either a hookshot or the 2nd key, but that's really not going to stop Schulzer from checking it anyway.
I was sitting here like, why is that chest not in logic yet? Right. Key.
Technically, it's in logic right now if any of the 3 chests on the right side are Ice Palace Big Key, but in Key Sanity, that is unlikely.
Fair.
That is a really interesting logic quirk if you're following the logic as a player, though, because there are chests, 2 checks you cannot check right now that, if they contain a specific item, change the logic.
That's a little bit obnoxious, not gonna lie. So Ramond has decided to dip into Skull Woods here. Probably gonna get to see the big chest here in a second. Unless he decides to run out and check the other entrances real quick. And that appears to be what's happening. So just 10 arrows
I'm
on
pretty
bumper
sure
cave.
I wrote that big key logic for this, and the biggest difference between this and VT branch is that this mode does not check whether the mode is key sanity. That big key logic applies whether it's key sanity or not. But it has been like literally multiple years, so I could misremember what I did, but I think I'm right about the logic in ice.
We can always forgive you if you've slept since then. If it's wrong, you know. But we did find the big key again. So what? Well.
That is, oh,
Well-
wow, there's love on Ramond's side. So, a lot's happened. For one, the whole logic point in Ice Palace is irrelevant. We can get to the GT big key and logic guaranteed with the hook shot. And the hook shot's pretty good itself. It's East Death Mountain access. It lets us into Mire to use that big key and do some other checks. Ramond has a glove, though. That opens a bunch of entrances. Things are happening.
And as you predicted, that was the lumberjack entrance that brought you into Desert Palace there. Or the Dark Lumberjack entrance. So that's where that glove was. So pretty obnoxious for Schulzer here.
So it's interesting. I don't know how bad it realistically is for Schulzer, because we know where the other glove is, and once it's accessible with Hammer, so if we find Hammer without too much difficulty, Hammer glove, then it's easy for Schulzer to go back for the other glove. And there's not that many N-Logic glove entrances remaining. We've already come out of the one near the Ice Rod Cave area as a connector. We just checked the Death Mountain entrance. So it's really only the one on the way to Desert that's in logic. You can check the shopping mall one, which I suspect Ramond is going to do right now, but this is all out of logic unless you find some crazy item like the hook shot. But I mean, we know where it is, but Ramond doesn't.
That, and I believe Bumper Cave entrance is another one that we can access right now, which I don't think Ramond did. Ramond going over to Dark Shopping Mall here. A lift and two caves, again, 3 entrances.
And yeah, Schulzer's, if I were Schulzer, the play, I mean, this Zora area play is very natural, and I think it's definitely the thing to do first. I would want to go back to the mountain, because you can get a bunch of checks in Mire, and then you can go to East Death Mountain. That would be at the top of my mind. The flippers are in logic now, so going to East Dark World is also a possible play, but I would resist that play without a glove, because I would want to check Catfish at the end of that route. But that's just me.
Meanwhile, Ramond has found Tower of Hera over here at Dark Shopping Mall. Not really much that Ramond can do at the moment.
Shoutouts to Ramond's Death Wart being slowed down by finding Blue Mail.
That's why Ramond tried his hardest to use the fire there. Because the fire gives you consistent damage. Ramond finding the upgrade fairy, which I am just always tempted to just go buy a bomb upgrade when I get there. I have money for it.
Like, slightly bold play from Schulzer. He already knows
Using ether,
to get
yeah.
into the fire entrance, but it's irrelevant. But he doesn't know what the Turtle Rock entrance is, but he's just not picking up the ether medallion. I guess he figures, if I need it, I know where it is. The odds I need it aren't very high, and that is kind of a long swim.
Schulzer going for Agate Tower here.
Ooh, Ramond finds a Turtle Rock entrance, and he has the map. We learn Turtle Rock is a pendant. That is significant information. We don't need the Ice Rod, probably, And we also now only have one more pendant to discover.
Alright, so Schulzer headed into Agate Tower, checked a thing or two. Not sure if he actually made it to the chest of the maze or not, but he certainly got out of there rather quick.
And yeah, we're about to find out what's on the Pyramid Ledge and the East Dark World, which... if we find a hammer over here, this is going to work out real smoothly for Ramond, because then he's going to really be drawn into Ice Palace, where he'll find the hook shot, but he'll be able to just kill Cold Stare. And I was looking at something on the other monitor, but Ramond did not go back over for the Pyramid Ledge item, so I am going to assume it was garbage.
That seems like a reasonable play. Or a reasonable...
Fire's a pendant. We know all the neither runner individually knows, but we know all the pendants.
Interesting. Yeah, we know basically all the relevant information. We've got the 5-6 crystals already, so we know now for sure that the required crystal dungeons are going to be Eastern Desert, Pod, Swamp, Skullwoods, and Ice Palace.
A fun quirk of this particular layout with Mire and Turtle Rock as pendants, not even the green ones, is that we do not necessarily need the Canis Tamaria to beat this seed. Though that could definitely play into things. And we see that Murder Dactyl trying to live up to its name by going after Ramond. Ramond manages to avoid it.
Finding yet another dark room over at the Dark Cave near 5. And Ramond now going to head to the Palace of Darkness entrance proper.
Yeah, and I like how Ramond routed East Dark World. This is pretty standard-ish, I think, like what most players would do in his situation. But I do want to just call out that he did the right things here. Ending at the pod entrance so you don't have to walk back, which is, it's a pretty slow walk.
Yeah, especially if you don't have boots or anything like that, just quite a huge pain. This is definitely the last thing you want to do. So the other semifinals, I believe, have already taken place.
Yes, Eyeless won 1-2-0 and over wall kicks, and is waiting for the result of this best of 3. This is only game 1, so there's a lot remaining to happen.
Alright, so turns out Pod is the back of Skullwoods, which, you know, you'd like to have a fire source when you get there so you could actually finish it, but not today. And we find the big key to ice in Misery Mire.
Well, that's a touch interesting. We're moving closer and closer to that ice full clear. I also want to say, I just realized I said something wrong earlier. I know, shocking. We can't beat Cold Stare. We don't have a hammer.
Oof.
Hammer definitely feels like the main thing we really need to find to open this seat up. Because Hammer does let us beat Cold. It also lets us reach the summit of the Light Mountain, because we have that spawn point at Hera. It's not in logic without the lamp, but whatever. There's a mirror.
How about a mirror? That'll also get us there.
Yeah, mirror gets us up there. It also gets us to other places.
Yep. We could probably check a lot of the stuff in the mirror locations from Meyer, because we've got that connector at Old Man House. Of course, that's not in logic again because of the lack of lamp, but still very nice. We have a connector to the bridge, or the Turtle Rock Bridge, so we're going to get another chunk of entrances here. Just a single arrow here at the potion shop, and Ramond is going to fill up the bottle with the blue potion. Do not blame him based on the fact that he had to spend it earlier.
I also think it's a good play, if for nothing else but the fact that you still haven't found Pod, you don't have a bow. You might just want to potion glitch into Pod, and if it turns out to help you out as a safety, that's not what I would call losing.
Seems legit. Mirror was in Spectacle Rock Cave. I'm honestly not entirely certain where the entrance to Spectacle Rock Cave was. I think up near desert, right? Okay, so speaking of desert, we found the back of desert here in dark East Death Mountain. We'll see Ramond going to the rock block entrance, which is hot garbage. Good old fake Saha. Broccoli Rawa.
I feel like Ramond has already been in these entrances. I don't know what in particular he's looking for here.
I mean, Schulzer was just here. Came in from the bridge, I assume.
Yeah, like, I think they've both checked these. I don't know if Ramond has checked this one on the left.
That immediate fall there leads me to think that might be the Death Mountain Descent cave. Schulzer also heading over to Pod, gonna get the Skullwoods entrance. We know there's a Pod key in there, and of course, a distinct lack of being able to beat it. So I'm now going to go check the left entrance of Turtle Rock here. Or I think we may have already seen this. This is going out the... Oh no, I am mistaken.
I think he's been up here. This is a great find. I mean, there's the boots.
Whoa!
So, now, of note, we have already come out of the Sanctuary Bonk Rocks as a connector, so that's a little less powerful than it would usually be. It's 3 entrances instead of 4. One of those 3 entrances, the King's Tomb entrance, is awful, but that does that for us. That also means Ramond can go into Meyer if he so chooses. We know that won't really pay off, but in Ramond's mind, that's probably looking like a pretty appealing play.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, you can go into Meyer, you can get the Ice Palace Big Key. So if there's something in the Ice Palace Big Chest when you get the ice, that could be a pretty nice find. If that's the hammer, I'm metal. You know what I mean?
Schulzer sees the mirror, but does not know how to get to it. No one else can see Schulzer's webcam, but we can. He had what I think could accurately be called a disgusted look on his face when he saw that mirror there.
I mean, If he'd gone out the left entrance of Turtle Rock, he could have. Wait, no, you need the mirror to get that. I'm sad. I was sitting here like, you could do some sick hover strats, but wait, no, you need the mirror for those boots. Now I'm sad.
Well, the boots do lead you right into Blind's basement, so there's a pretty big payoff on average.
I think, to me, usually the biggest payoff with Blind's Hut, even if it's nothing there, is I get to check off Blind's Hut from my list and not worry about where it is.
It was literally a big payoff, as there were 400 rupees in here, but in terms of real value, not so much.
I mean, Ramond is no longer on 6 hearts now, so that's the main difference. But again, nothing super relevant for the purposes of winning the game.
Yeah, I pretty much promised 6 hearts blue mail. Ramond already felt pretty comfy. He's pretty good. Man, just imagine if the next progression to get something like Hammer is in the King's Tomb entrance. Just how annoying that's going to be. But hey, here's another possibility that Ramond's playing into nicely. You can mirror on top of the pyramid. Oh, but Ramond isn't going to have Master Sword because he hasn't been to the back of Skull.
I think Ramond is going for ice here. Just picked up the sword so he can actually do it.
So,
oh, wait.
He's just, he's going places and doing things, but, oh, wait, he can use Desert as a connector to get back to West Dark World now that he can bonk the Soul Thing. So, that's the whole plan all along. And I have no idea what's on Desert Torch, but if it's anything good, he's about to get it. And...
yeah, it's just bombs. We saw it earlier.
Yeah, I was pretty sure we saw it, but that didn't mean I knew what it was.
Right. What I never saw, like, I know we saw the library at one point in the waterfall. I just never saw what the item was.
So yeah, this is great because Ramond can check this glove-locked entrance, and if he goes into the back of Skull, which is more appealing now that getting stuck isn't quite so bad for him, he'll find a Master Sword, which makes top of the pyramid a really good play, and I mean, a lot of things kind of happen.
Minor small key might lead him into mine there.
I mean, your first minor small key, you don't really need it for anything, but you're not sad to see it. It saves you time.
Yep. So we're going to get to see a couple of entrances over here on the right that Schulzer hasn't gotten hold of. We're going to have the Graveyard Ledge and, of course, King's Tomb, as previously mentioned.
Now, Schulzer will be able to kill Moldorm here with the hook shot, doing the Harapot we mentioned earlier. So, that's going to potentially help him out. If there's anything important in the Hera Big Chest that could really hurt Schulzer, but, like, you're here, this isn't in the greatest location, you're just going to kill the boss. In his mind, it's probably a crystal, and in our mind, it is a crystal.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so King's Tomb, absolute hot garbage. But, we also saw Pyramid Fairy. That turned out to have a red mail and a heart. So, you know, probably hot garbage as far as Ramond is concerned. I would have been over the moon. Alright, Ramond heading into the back of Skull Woods now. We're going to get to see we're going to get that sword, additional sword, and we're going to see a good old-fashioned big chest.
Oh, that's a touch annoying. Dropping into this entrance, which is just, it's going to make it awkward for Ramond to check everything.
Just a map in the big chest, so not anything to write home about. Schulzer taking care of Moldon. What do we got? Just some bombs.
But yeah, Ramond dropping the 0 Skullwood small keys here. Ramond will have to find one of the 2 randomized Skullwood small keys to beat the seed.
We expect that to not be a terribly difficult task, but again, who knows. Ramond into the desert main entrance for Dark Sanctuary. That goes away.
This is a pretty smart play because he can reach the Mire region so quickly, and this is 4 new mirror entrances, so very logical play from Ramond.
Just a map there on the ledge. Ramond not quite aware of all the map situation, the pendant crystal situation, so certainly don't mind picking that up. Garbage in the actual King's Tomb, sitting in left desert.
Hey, the hook shot gave Schulzer a completely different way to get back to West Dark World.
Yep, there you go. There's a red shield in the Sea House.
We really need a tempered sword now, then we can have all red equipment.
Seems entirely legitimate.
If Schulzer finds the Master Sword before the red mail, he'll have all blue, or the red shield for that matter, he'll have all blue equipment.
Apparently Schulzer acquired the ice rod while I wasn't paying attention. That's fun.
Yeah, I think that was in the chest near the big chest in Hera, which it's out of logic, and even if it were in logic, you wouldn't care very much.
You know, Checkerboard Cave here hid our entrance to Palace of Darkness, which, as we said before, is a required dungeon.
It's actually the last crystal dungeon located. We still have to find the dam, and neither runner knows this, but we know Swamp is a crystal, so the dam does actually have to be found. And very interestingly, we have not seen Ganon's tower yet. Otherwise, we found all the dungeons.
Big Key of Eastern sitting here in Pod, so we have that going for us, I guess.
We needed it. I don't expect either player to be in a hurry to go use it until they find a bow. There's 2 bows out there.
And speaking of bows, we're going to skip the use of one right here. Someone uses the little potion clip.
That was a really clean technique there of using the potion to force the red one off, and instead of using the pot, like sort of the standard movement there, instead he just used a Master Sword spin and killed the 2 green ones. Saved a little bit of time. I'm really, like, I've pointed out like 3 different things. I'm really impressed at Ramond's small time save game. He saves so many little seconds here and there, which is sort of little nuanced differences from what most people do that are just a little more optimal, and I love it. Oh man, Schulzer was already disgusted at seeing the mirror here. His disgust just like doubled now that he found where the cave is. I don't think Schulzer is happy at all to have found this mirror.
I'm doing a nice little bomb jump there to go across to the observation deck of Spectral Rock. Yet another little shortcut, as Ramond is likely headed for the top of the little castle here. Gonna stop at the hobo check.
Yeah, top of the castle is definitely really interesting to me as a potential place for value. Funny thing, if we find Ganon's tower there, we can't do very much with it. It's 3 checks to us right now.
Still lack of hammer or Cane of Samaria, just having no real
Also,
value
no
there.
bow or fire source, so we don't have the climb, which, I mean, no one wants to climb GT, but you definitely think about what lets you climb it.
Alright, I'm heading up to top of Federal Castle. We're going to get 3 entrances here. We see Moldorm Cave, 5 items in this place. Maybe it'll be one of those million items for GT we just talked about. Well, there's the cane.
Okay, so GT is now 4 items. The Cane of Samaria does just not a lot for us. It does probably lead Ramond back to Mire, which is a dungeon he can full clear now. Well, he can't do left Mire, but he can beat the boss. In his mind, it's probably a crystal. We know it's not, but Ramond doesn't know that. Which I also want to say, I really love the way, I think ZSR is the only one who does this. We have the information about what each runner knows in terms of pendant crystals separately, because it really does inform decisions in scenarios like this.
It does a real good job of letting exactly, why things are being done the way they are. And if you really just want to know where all the crystals and things are, you can synthesize that information from the information that is presented here.
So, sort of a fun, I guess I'll say extra about how this plays out is, if Ramond goes to Mire and kills Vitreous, if Vitreous' drop is important, that's just a win condition right there, because I promise, Schulzer is not killing Vitreous until near last location.
I entirely agree.
Hookshot Cave, that's interesting. Honestly, realistically, Hookshot Cave is one of the worst things for Ramond to find, because Hookshot is Schulzer's main advantage here. Whereas I think Ramond has generally better all-around items and a little better map clearage, Schulzer has the Hookshot. That is Schulzer's edge here. So what Schulzer really wants to happen is for this Hookshot to be significant.
Schulzer deciding to head into the back of Pod, which Ramond did not elect to do earlier.
I actually find it really surprising Ramond did not do this. I see Ramond has 3 pod keys, so I'm really not sure why not, but we'll see whether it's rewarded or punished.
Alright, so Ramond heading into Hookshot Cave. We'll be able to get 1 item in Logic, and depending on your ability with A button pressage, you might be able to get some others.
We got a Swamp Big Key from the Darkness and Pod. That's not likely to be important, but it could be.
Yeah, Swamp Big does give you that 1 chest, as always.
Yeah, of course, we still need both the hammer and the dam to get there, and it feels likely once we have both of those things, we'll be pretty close to go mode. Oh, Schulzer, this is near and dear to my heart. Just off by 1 pixel over and over on this stupid bomb jump. He did get
right
it.
there
That
at the
wasn't
last
very fast, but honestly, it's a lot faster to get it at all, so that's okay.
Especially when you don't have a key, it's way faster than not going in there at all.
I mean, if he didn't get the bomb jump and fell, he just would have reset the room and done it again.
Right.
But obviously that's a lot slower than just getting across and getting these 2 chests. The 3
the
bombs
boomerang
is
and bombs,
unironically
so.
a better find than the boomerang because it doesn't clog up your quick swap, but regardless, we now know 2 places where progression isn't.
That is accurate.
Yeah, I know some people really like the blue boomerang strats and Ganon's tower. It saves very small amounts of time. Give me not having it in my quick swap for the whole seed. I'll be happier. But yeah, we're about to see... Well, Schulzer is going to get his blue cane. Honestly, we'll probably feel a bit of relief that this is nothing too critical. And I would expect a Chomper check after this.
Yeah. I mean, you could, in theory, also check the middle, the big key chest.
Well, yeah, he probably will check that too. Just, you know, it's a route.
And it's not likely to be anything, given the fact that we don't have very many small keys for this particular dungeon.
Yeah, and I would expect, given that... Oh, Schulzer doesn't know this is a pendant, so he might just kill the Pokey here. Yeah, Schulzer doesn't have this map. Ramond doesn't have the Meyer map. So 100% Ramond's killing Vitreous here.
Oh, absolutely.
For all he knows, this is a crystal. And he knows two of the pendants, so in his mind, this is extremely likely to be a crystal.
The Compass of Ganon's Tower, that's a super useful item there in the big chest, or big key chest. And by super useful, I mean not at all.
Hey, when you're full clearing Ganon's Tower, it helps you just really look at that number 27 on your screen.
Yeah, Ramon's run through Meyer 2 there was just kind of poetry, just looking at it. It's the level of execution that the people have at this point, it kind of makes me want to quit playing. Not really, but...
I mean, there is a bit of a perspective, like... This is the semifinals. These are absolutely top runners at this point. The average runner is not as good as Schulzer and Ramond.
Alright, Schulzer finally picking up those boots. Ramond heading for the chest on the bridge. That's that turtle rope small key. And it's gonna have to go the long way around to get to victory.
Unless you want to do a hover, there's really no other way to route this. Hey, Schulzer just learned that he won't be punished for skipping Ether. It's Quake to get into Mire. Or to get into Turtle Rock, rather.
Well, there you go. Vanilla medallions for entrances, and luckily enough, we haven't even seen Quake medallion, so that's not really going to hurt anybody at the moment.
So
who's ready for Dark Mire?
This is just a big moment in the race all around. What does Vitreous drop? Because this is honestly a pretty big time commitment for Ramond for what is 1 1/3 item checks. But he doesn't know that, and it's just a big deal. Because if this is important, or if it's a ped seed, Ramond is looking pretty good here. If it's not important, this is really gonna pretty much fully catch Schulzer up. Because I do think Ramond was ahead, but I don't think it was very much at all. Also, with all the entrances we checked and Ganon's Tower still being conspicuously absent, anyone down for a GT is Vanilla seed?
Sounds good to me. Means probably not going to have to go there. Alright, Ramond taking care of Viddy in a very, very nice way. Not actually taking that much goo damage here like some people would. Remaining fairly damageless. I mean, not completely, but...
It's tough because his invincibility item is the blue cane, and
Right.
due to some sketchy programming from our friends at Nintendo, you cannot do spin attacks while the blue cane is active, even though you very much can while the cape is active. Scary situation with half a heart left, but I have full faith Ramond will just handle this.
He does have a blue potion left if something goes horribly wrong, but he's going to have to switch to it. There we go. One dead eyeball, and we have a small key to Desert Palace. So,
That
could be
means
important.
We have basically doubled the number of items on this drop. Logically, that's required. Practically, no, it's not. And that is full pendant crystal knowledge for Ramond.
I mean, just like in before vanilla big key to desert, right?
Okay, so in terms of entrances we actually have to find, we have to find the dam. We have the hammer-locked entrance in Village of Outcasts, back of Skull. Otherwise, it's behind Mitts or Super Bomb, right?
I believe we actually saw someone come out of the Super Bomb entrance. Somebody said it was dead, at least in chat.
Okay, so is this delayed disappointment or the play of the game for Ramond here? It's a really big deal if either of these chests are quality.
Oh, how about more delayed gratification? We've got the shovel and a piece of art.
We have I think we've checked every mirror entrance between both runners. Okay, we're getting hooked on cave. This is another... Oh! There's the hammer. Double dip of ice is required. That is fantastic news for Schulzer. Because no matter what Ramond does, he will eventually have to make essentially the same play.
Well, it looks like he's making that play right now. Though, to be fair, if you could have pulled off the hover there, that would have been sick.
This is totally a hover seed. I haven't seen either player go for a hover. I don't know that either of these players do that. Hovering is a very orthogonal skill to being good at this game in any other way.
Yeah.
But
ask me how I know. Because I can learn how to hover. I'm just not good at the game.
Yeah, I just like to point that out because most tricks, you know, you're watching top runners, you assume they can do the tricks. And I mean, you're watching maybe weaker runners, you assume they don't know the tricks. But when it comes to hovering, there's just no connection at all. You'll see top runners who can't. You'll see somewhat lower bracket players who don't have an issue with it. And that missed mirror delete is going to cost Schulzer a real amount of time.
Yeah, it is. You can't really recover that. I mean, if he just up and skips it, that would be like the Chad move here. It's just
what a place
man.
for the fire rod.
Talk about your fire locked fire all day long.
So between both runners, all we need for go mode is a bow and to find the dam, right?
Yeah, I think so. Desert Big?
Desert Big, good call. Pod Big too.
Pod Big, yeah. Alright, Ramond picking up the hook shot. He has the Ice Balance Big Key, and not going to get anything useful out of that at the moment.
Yeah, that fire rod is only necessarily a big deal because it lets us kill Mothula, which we could not otherwise do right now, given that we don't have the lamp.
Speaking of, we had a question in chat about Ramond and his small key situation. Yes, I do believe he still needs to find another.
Yeah, so for Ramon's end, he needs a Skullwood small key to find the dam. He needs to go back for the hammer, though he's going to have a lot of incentive to do that since he just found this hook shot. Schulzer's going to need that fire rod, though he has a lot of incentive to get that, honestly, just right now. Schulzer does not necessarily need the Cane of Samaria at all. Like, it's nice, but he doesn't need it.
And Schulzer is, in fact, going back into ice, so he's going to get that fire rod. He's going to have to go a little bit of a long way around on account of not having that Cane of Samaria. But I don't expect it to be a play he doesn't make.
And this bow's just going to be a really interesting situation, because bow immediately gives you a crystal dungeon you can clear. It's one of the red crystals, too, but there are 2 of them to find.
Alright, we can officially confirm Desert Small Key leading to hot garbage all around.
Vitreous is not fully dead yet. There is 1 narrow thread remaining.
Yeah. It's everybody's favorite troll situation. There's the hammer for Ramond, so not a ton of time between acquiring that hook shot and acquiring the hammer. For all we know, he may decide to go right back to ice.
Yeah, and I mean, Ramond now knows that unless you hover, you could not have single-dipped that, so it's probably not going to feel too bad about it. Of course, both players can pick up the mitts whenever they want, and mitts likely lead to both Ganon's tower, which at this point you can do full left, and the dam, which you actually have to find to beat the Steed.
There's the entrance to the big bomb entrance out of the bunker cave.
To answer the question in chat, Pedestal very much lives. We do not have a book. We couldn't read it if we wanted to.
We would, however, to put it in logic, need significantly more Turtle Rock keys, both keys for Thieves Town, and a bunch of other...
Just the lamp, and then it would be in logic. That's the last thing that you were missing. So one of those remaining Ice Palace chests that hadn't been checked yet was just $50. I think we're about to get our first crystal of the match on Schulzer's side. Schulzer's in such disbelief over that fire rod. I don't think he knows that that's really not bad for him at all. Like, what would he have done with the fire rod before now anyway? Check the back of Skull entrance? That's about it, right?
Yeah. He'd have had moth feet at this point. That's about it.
Granted, back up...
Maybe Hera Basement? Because they do have the Hera Small Key.
Yeah, but you don't feel bad being forced to skip Hera Basement.
Fair.
Left side Meyer, as mentioned by Coper in chat, is, yeah, that's pretty fair. Knowing Turtle Rock is a pendant, just going to spend an extra key to check Chomp Room from here. I really like that decision. Like, I don't think there's any chance Ramond would ever do this if this were a crystal or unknown, but knowing it's a pendant, if you really are having to kill pendant Trinex, the Seed will give you another Turtle Rock small key. They'll in fact give you all the remaining Turtle Rock small keys, but at least one of them, no way is it hard to find in that scenario.
Alright, Schulzer flying liberal fire rod to the face of a cold stare, finishing that off. And that is a bow on cold stare, so that opens up Eastern Palace play, a lot of other shenanigans.
So, I said it was the first crystal of the match. It's not strictly true. Schulzer already has Moldorm clear. Schulzer is up 2 crystals to 0 now, right?
Looks like it. Although Ramond is likely to get really both of those crystals that Schulzer has in just a few seconds. Or a couple minutes. Ramond is also taking care of the basement.
Schulzer. I didn't see everything he had. I'm pretty sure he just learned, was it that Skull is a crystal is all he got off that map check?
I believe so. I mean, do Eastern, then give up and climb GT. I mean, I would give up and climb GT if we had any idea where GT was.
We might actually see a sort of dueling pendant clear, because Schulzer, after he finds the Gate of Samaria...
Ramond rewarded a little bit for doing Hera Basement by picking up a small key to Skull Woods that he needed.
An item that is only useful to Ramond. But hey, I mean, you're not sad to see that in his situation. But yeah, Schulzer's going to find the Cane of Samaria here, and we'll have a lot of incentive to kill Trinex. Because for all he knows, Trinex is a crystal. In his mind, I think it's a 1 out of 3. It's got to be there, desert, or swamp.
Alright, Ramon's going to deal with Moldorm here. Hammer style this time. A little bit of a different fight than what Schulzer had.
Yeah, I really like the Hammer Moldorm kill. It's easy, it's fast. It just... There is not an enemy in this game that is easier to hit with this stupid hammer than Moldorm. And it's funny how true that is, because Moldorm is otherwise so annoying to hit with everything else.
Yeah, it's basically the reduced hitbox the hammer works in your favor in this game. You're less likely to hit the bouncy parts to mess with you.
Yeah, I mean, the developers of the original game, they just had the player's best interest in mind. They were like, you know, this ridiculously tiny hitbox, we're going to give it to you to help you out with Moldorm. That's what they were thinking, right?
Yeah, I'm entirely certain that was the first thought in their mind. I mean, as far as I remember, there weren't that many programmers that actually worked on this game in the first place. I don't think it was one like the original Zelda, but it wasn't a ton either.
Yeah, I mean, dev teams were just smaller back then.
Ramond back into ice. No real surprises here. Schulzer going to go ahead and take out
killing Moth, very natural play for him.
We've basically reached sort of the mid game where you go and clear every crystal dungeon you have access to, and hopefully just pick up the ability to do some more along the way.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised to see Schulzer's next play be to kill Trinex. Now, the kind of good thing for Schulzer is like killing Trinex is really low risk for him, because Laser Bridge is easier to reach than the front of Turtle Rock anyway. So you kill a boss that's maybe or maybe not a crystal, and you kind of route through a bunch of checks efficiently either way.
I honestly can't remember exactly where the Laser Bridge entrance was, but I know it's in Logic. Like, it's not an oddity.
I'd say it's right
there. It's literally right there.
Yeah, and Schulzer doesn't know he's about to get a pendant here. We know he is. But even though this is a pendant, like, there's just almost no way this works out badly for him. This is a much smaller walk than the walk to Vitreous. I think it's even a faster boss. And it conveniently routes you to the front for those 3 checks, which we know are nothing, but I mean, you're going to check most of the stuff either way.
Oh, yeah. Ramond is now headed to, has just finished off Old Stair and picked up the bow. That could very well lead Ramond to heading to Eastern Palace to finish that off. And that might actually be what's happening here.
So,
Going straight to
in terms of doing things that are really difficult and fairly impressive, that killing the Firehead from the back with hammer, that is so hard.
Alright, hammer, straps, oof, getting a little bullied there, but no real problems there for Schulzer. Let us see what the item in question is. Barrage.
Okay, I think Ramond's going to live without that one. But now we have full pendant crystal knowledge on both players. Ramond about to kill the Armos Knights, get 2 more checks here in Eastern. I expect Schulzer will be back in Eastern very shortly as well.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah, I don't think Schulzer's checked Catfish either. This route is stupid efficient, actually.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of it, I'm sure was planned. Some of it's just a happy accident. But what are you gonna do?
I actually suspect most of it was planned, because very little
once
of
you
it
knew
was,
about it, yeah.
None of it was based on unknown information, really. It's just everything, kind of. There was a thread in which everything could flow together, and Schulzer found it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Ramon
Now,
now
almost
going
all
to
these
take
checks
care
are
of
bad, but if you're going to make a ton of bad checks, at least it's efficient.
I'd much rather make a lot of bad checks quickly than good checks extremely slowly.
Oh, he's not... Maybe he already went to Catfish. I honestly don't know, but he's not doing it either way. Okay, this is almost certainly Schulzer to Eastern. It's just a Ganon's Tower small key there, which isn't really that exciting. We still don't know where GT is. Granted, it's pretty likely we can find GT with those mitts that Ramond's going to pick up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we saw Mimic Cave way early. Hadn't gone to it yet because, you know, it was the hammer. Part of the hammer. So yeah, plenty of entrances now with those mitts. I don't know, at least a few items. You got the entrance in east, or like the blacksmith area in the Dark World, the Peg Cave. You've got the Turtle Rock entrance if you can get Quake. Anyways,
we also have yet to check the Village of Outcast Hammer House, so you can kind of do a little 2-for-1 there.
Yeah. Of
course, Vanilla Ice Palace, always a very fun entrance to route in. It's just like Mitts gate so little, but you know there's a lot of value to all remaining entrances just because you have to find Dam. Like, it's a very simple decision to keep checking entrances here because there's an absolutely hard required entrance you haven't seen yet.
Yet another pod key at the Hammer House. Certainly.
That is Ramond's 4th, so that puts the backup pod with its Swamp Palace big key that he doesn't know about into logic.
Speaking of Swamp Palace, we still need to find that dam that could be here.
Yeah, that's really the main thing Ramond is looking for. And if he finds Ganon's Tower, that's gonna be a thing. In fact, Ganon's Tower, if I'm correct, is down to 3 locations. It can be Vanilla Ice Palace entrance, it can be the Turtle Rock entrance, or it can be the Ganon's Tower entrance. I think those are the only entrances remaining between both players.
Sounds about accurate. But, as we mentioned before, we were looking for the dam. Guess what we found? It was the dam.
Yeah, and now, like, your big priority is Swamp Palace, because Swamp isn't that much worse item density than GT. Except, for one, you know you can find Swamp. It's only a 1 out of 3 you can find GT. I think Ramond has checked every entrance we've seen, and Schulzer just has a couple extra left to check. But, also, there's a crystal at the end of Swamp, and you need it. Whereas, it's possible, even if you can get to GT, you don't have to. Oh, we have the back of Skull entrance, too. Good call, Ramond. Good call.
Seems entirely legit.
And yeah, gonna mirror here, turn into Smith, check back a Skull, save and quit, I would assume.
Sounds like play. Alright, so 1 blacksmith check. About to be taken care of. We have a Smoky to GT.
And yeah, Schulzer's inevitably going to find this dam very shortly. And in terms of sort of the race here, really the most significant difference is Schulzer has already killed Moth, who is at the pod entrance, so it's a bit of a walk to get back there.
Yeah, I mean, with the boots, it's not awful, but it is kind of a pain to get to that general area.
Yeah, and sort of to compensate, Ramond's a bit ahead in checks otherwise, but not what I would call a lot.
Alright,
There's
so
still different pendant bosses. If it's a ped seed, this will work in Ramond's favor as he's killed the slower pendant boss. But, like, it's probably not.
yeah, it'd be a heck of a situation to require that. Maybe a big key to desert there or something.
I mean, it has to be either the big key to desert or the big key to pod in order for it to be required. Which could happen. Oh, here's something we hadn't checked. The Southwest Death Mountain Foothills Cave.
Good name. Hey, look at that. Now we have our red equipment situation.
I actually don't know if Ramond has the red shield or not. I haven't been paying
I
attention
believe
to
so.
that. Oh, he does. All red equipment for Ramond. Excellent. Always got to color coordinate while you're saving, Hyrule.
You gotta think about your fashion accessories here.
I mean, Tempered Sword also has some minor utility in just killing everything significantly faster than the Master Sword. But, I mean, that's a small detail compared to fashion.
Gonna be even more coordinated over on shoulder screen when that happens.
I mean, if you're considering Y button items equipment, we could also talk about the red items, the red boomerang, and the cape, but to me, equipment means what the menu calls equipment. It's a sword, it's a shield, it's a mail. That's equipment.
Yep. Yeah, as it always seems to come down to, more often than not, just being able to essentially full clear the game if possible is usually what this boils down to.
Okay, so the Ice Palace entrance is GT. It is extremely likely Ramond will be in go mode shortly. But we'll see what happens. It is an interesting decision to search for GT before doing Swamp Palace. Because you have everything you need to climb GT right now, and you don't have the information about whether you want to.
I mean, if you're really like a stickler for logic and you want to know where that is, you're technically not in logic for Swamp yet. But honestly, nobody cares about the land.
Where was the Swamp small key again that would be out of logic without the lamp?
It's not the small key that would be out of logic, it's the entrance to Swamp.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I don't see anyone caring about that. I mean, the lamp or the flute puts that in logic for that matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, Schulzer is going to Swamp. So in terms of who's going to win or lose this race based not just off luck, but decisions, this feels like the sort of critical late game decision. Schulzer checking Swamp first, Ramond going through GT. It's so important because when Schulzer finds GT, if he has to at all, and he probably does, to be fair, Schulzer will be able to climb with confidence. So now Ramond's advantage is if Ramond is in go mode here, or even just one item from go mode, Ramond very well might skip left side swamp. Whereas I don't see a scenario that Schulzer skips left swamp here.
I mean, in my experience, there is no underestimating people's hatred for left side swamp. People have been known to skip it when it makes no sense at all.
If you're curious who's ahead or behind, which we've just been asked in chat, it's really close. I slightly prefer Schulzer's position, but there is a lot of uncertainty in the outcome of this race.
It really largely depends on what we find in these two dungeons. Like, if Ramond finds something very important in GT, it's almost certainly his race to lose. If Schulzer finds something important here in Swamp, while Ramond finds nothing, it's almost certainly Schulzer's to lose. That is the Thieves Town big key, which is not really what you want to see.
Pedestal is doable now.
Not technically in logic without the small key.
Schulzer is not going to left side swamp, which is an absolutely insane play to me, but, well, that's the life we're living. Let's see what happens.
This is what I was telling you. You can never underestimate people's hatred for left side swamp.
Like, there's two reasons it's crazy to me. One, I know full well Schulzer knows how to do diver down. I mean, he just did it there. So, left side swamp is significantly faster now versus later. Oh, there's a required big key in GT, by the way. But I'm not done.
Yeah, rando room for the pod big key.
The other thing about it is, as far as Schulzer knows, GT is in the Turtle Rock entrance, and you need Quake. Quake could easily be on left side swamp leading to GT with everything. Like, we know that's not true, but Schulzer doesn't. Don't skip left side swamp, kids.
Alright, big chest of GT turning out to be yet another Turtle Rock small key. Schulzer with the very nice one-cycle Argus puffballs. Oh, where did he get the silver?
Somewhere in all this, we found silver arrows, so that's cool. Oh, the mirror shield. I'm sure that will greatly help us in our quest to save Hyrule.
Well, something slightly more helpful for Ramond, the Book of Mudora sitting there on Bob's chest.
I mean, calling that more helpful is an interesting question. Silver arrows will save Schulzer time no matter what. If those two checks behind the Book of Mudora are nothing, that only cost Ramond time.
Well, I was saying more helpful than the mirror shield, but...
Oh, I mean, mirror shield, it might save an amount of time closely approximated by the number 0, but it won't cost him. The book could actively cost Ramond time.
Yeah. but it would at least give him an excuse to go check the pedestal and figure out whether he needs to do those pendant dungeons before committing to actually do them. You know, again, that could be a waste of time, but I don't know. Anyways, Ramond can go ahead and take care of Skull Woods now. Meanwhile,
Schulzer is going to be in
GT.
We'll find his pod big key. We'll still need desert big key. We'll have a decision about whether to climb here. See, that's going to be a really interesting call, because obviously you can get a few more checks in pod as you clear it. You also have the Thieves' big key, so that's some more stuff you can do. You're going to get a book here, which is just a little more you can do. I don't think it's an easy decision in Schulzer's position whether you climb or not. Now, if you're the kind of person who just skip left side swamp, maybe you just keep skipping everything you see as slow and skip that no matter what. But I don't know. It doesn't feel that unlikely that the climb's required here in Schulzer's knowledge.
Quite possible, yeah. I honestly expect for Ramond to, after this, to do swamp and also pod, like right one after the other. They're actually fairly close to each other. Swamp is in the Mire Shed and the pod is in Checkerboard Cave, so it could be pretty quick.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to have a little bit of sort of doubling back on each other. Now, unfortunately for Ramond, he's going to do Swamp before he does Pod, so he will not have the Swamp Big Key. We know it's only a heart container, but that's just going to be a little bit of a specter looming over Ramond's head.
Alright, so we know that Schulzer decided to skip left side swamp, so Ramond goes for that, and it has, say, elusive desert big key. Well, that's going to be a big, huge deal.
Yeah, see, the interesting thing is, between both runners, we've seen every big key other than desert, so if you see a big key come out of a chest we haven't checked yet, that's the thing. And at this point, if they're not basically on the same path, whoever finds the desert big key first will probably win this race. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could happen here too. Like, let's remember that the well is behind Aga 1. We haven't seen the second castle tower small key. We haven't seen the lamp, but it's the desert big key leads to 2 items. It's basically an ice rod, so like it can be anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like the lamp is in the pyramid.
Yeah, Ramond probably not super thrilled to find the Thieves' big key there.
Oh, also skipping left.
It's just the hatred for left side swamp is strong here. I really hope the desert big key's in left side swamp and they both leave it behind.
you just want them both to learn their lesson.
Like, that's not even me rooting for one player or another to win. I'm totally neutral in who wins. But I would like to see the karmic left side swamp justice. But yeah, in Ramond's case as well, he very well might be tempted to skip left side swamp, go do pod, he'll find the swamp big key, and that might draw him back in for left and doing big chest while he's at it.
Yeah, that's at least a little more justified in my brain, you know?
Yeah, and Schulzer chose not to climb. I think that's consistent with the playstyle Schulzer's shown. I honestly think it was about a toss-up decision. The decision to go here and kill Helmasaur King is a very easy to justify decision. You have to do this no matter what. This is crystal number 6. And yeah, just the big question is, where is Desert Big? Obviously, if Helmasaur King drops it here, that's basically GG. Schulzer wins because, well, he's just going to be ahead in linear progression. They have the same stuff. At this level, you're not going to make up even this, like, 3 or 4 room gap.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't even know there was going to be a race until about an hour before it happened. So, we put together sort of a last-minute rescreen here with the people we have on hand and the terrible microphone that I have and all that jazz.
Hey, I was promised you getting interrupted by your students, and
Yeah,
so
nobody
far that
came to
hasn't
my
happened
office
yet.
hours. Nobody came. My office hours end in 10 minutes, and no one has shown up. It's alright.
Yeah, I can't say I took advantage of a lot of professor office hours when I was in college myself.
Yeah,
Granted,
it's
my
it's
grades were
accurate.
pretty good, so I guess I didn't need them.
Alright, Ramond dealing with Dark. Passage to Helmasaur. Really, kind of at the same time as Schulzer. Schulzer's heading into Helmasaur right now. Wow, that was a solid Dark Turtle Room strat.
That was a lightning quick Helmasaur King fight from Schulzer. And I think we're about to see it all over again. Oh good, the powder.
I mean, technically unlocks an item. We got that going for us.
See, the funny thing is Schulzer has still kept the mushroom all this time, so it really doesn't unlock an item for him. It just makes an item check faster. Schulzer's not even going for the big chest. Aggressive.
I don't think Ramond has actually done any of the back, and so I think he goes back in.
Yeah, Ramond, like, has to go back in because he has the entire back of Pod. To Ramond, this is the single densest location left anywhere in the world. And it will inevitably include several checks that Schulzer has not made. This vanilla big key chest, the harmless hellway, and the vanilla hammer chest. Some people would have called that the big chest, but for some reason vanilla hammer came to me first. Oh look, a key for a key in logic in Pod.
Well, there you go. There's always a pod key in Pod. Alright, we're going to get to see the ether tablet here from Schulzer going at the back entrance of Old Man's home to reach Hera. Just finding a piece of heart there, so taking care of that pretty quickly.
Everyone be sure to be looking for the moment Ramond's heart breaks when he finds the swamp big key instead of the desert big key here.
And that will be coming up very shortly. Schulzer, of course, will now be heading into the back of Thieves Town. So
again, this is a forced orphan here. You cannot check the big chest without the small key, but we will get 3 checks here. We'll get the green pendant.
There is always the random possibility of vanilla small key.
Yeah, it is possible that could be vanilla. If that's vanilla and the desert big keys in the big chest, fascinating.
Or if that's vanilla and desert big key is on pedestal.
Okay, good point from chat. Technically, it is mechanically possible to check that chest. You just have to skip both the chest in the attic and the boss. Which no one would ever do, but it's possible. Okay, so the answer is not in pod. We have concluded that. Ramond still has 2 more chests to open. He's going to get his stupid blue boomerang. Which doesn't even cost time at this point, because he already has the red one. But yeah, more going off the table. First chest and thieves, not relevant.
And that does it for pod. Good chance Ramond heads back over to Swamp. Not doing so at this very moment, though.
Yeah, and that's not even a loss to him, because he can save and quit to Old Man to get there at any time he wants. Checking Spike Cave, we know this isn't the answer, but this is a very natural play for Ramond to make in his situation.
Quick save and quit there. Potion in the maiden chest in Thieves Town, so nothing. No vanilla small key, so we will be orphaning the big chest.
I suspect Ramond is going for the Bamos monolith. Has either runner checked the Drain Dam item? How hilarious would it be if that were just a thing?
I honestly don't think they have. That's ridiculous.
Okay, not in any of the accessible checks and thieves. We get dueling maps here that both help the runners about equally much, which is to say not at all.
Alright, so Ramond is about to head back over to where the dam item is, and it is just a piece of art, so again, no heart attacks there. Ramond looking to... Oh, what was this name? Turtle Rock.
So Ramond has 2 checks left in here. He has the Vanilla Big Key, and he has Trinex. I don't imagine he's trying to route over to Trinex. Okay, Green Pendant wasn't it either. But he's probably just picking up the Vanilla Big Key chest. Honestly, he's probably going to do this mirror and climb GT. That's what I would do in Ramond's situation.
Yeah, because, the GT entrance, of course, quite near where he entered here. That's honestly where I thought he was going at first, and then he took a detour into this cave. I was like, where was this again? Right.
Yeah, and it looks like Schulzer going for the GT climb. Ramond, no, he's taking this connector. He might be going to Thieves Town, which, if he's doing that, that's pretty bad for him, because at this point, Schulzer's climbing GT. It is extraordinarily likely that either the Desert Big Key is up here directly, or if it's not, it's something like the other Castle Tower key up here that leads to it.
I guess he neglected to check the medallion for Turtle Rock earlier, so he wanted to get that checked. And now he's going to check Ether Tablet. So not a terrible play, given what he knows.
Hey, Schulzer doing the 2 rooms in the game in which the Mirror Shield is a legitimately helpful item.
I hadn't thought about that, but that is actually correct. You can actually block the fireballs from the mimics with the Mirror Shield.
Yeah, so the Mirror Shield's nominal role is blocking lasers. The Mirror Shield cannot block BMOS shots in this game. I think this is literally the only Zelda game that has the Mirror Shield and BMOS in it that it can't. But it can block fireballs from the mimics. The Red Shield is supposed to block fireballs, and it cannot block fireballs from the mimics. Wrap your head around that.
I'm not sure the Mirror Shield blocks the BMOS beams in Ocarina of Time either.
I think it does. I mean, you never would, but I think it does.
Yeah, maybe. Like, credit.
Like, the Mirror Shield definitely blocks Beamos in Link's Awakening. That was the first game it did that.
Well, it blocks but doesn't reflect them. That makes sense. And by that makes sense, I mean, it makes sense why I thought that it didn't block them. Because I figured, of course, it would reflect them with the beams. That's how beams work. But no. Even Deku Shield works against Beamos.
I do think we should always just reflect, and yes, it's an intentional pun, on the storied history of the Mirror Shield. It's been an item in like 4 or 5 different Zelda games, and it really hasn't been good in any of them.
Yeah, it's basically speedrunners have made it their mission to skip the Mirror Shield in every game ever that it ever existed in.
It's at least okay in Wind Waker, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you do technically need it in, like, glitchless OOT and glitchless Link's Awakening, but not really.
I mean, at least in OOT you needed to kill a boss. In Link's Awakening, it's to get through one cave.
Yep.
Well, there's go mode for Schulzer. I feel pretty confident. Like, this is going to be a close race, but I'm pretty confident Schulzer will win from this situation. Because at this execution level, I mean, Landmo's nothing. Tempered Sword Silver's Ganon. There's not much time left in the run.
There was a bit of a heart attack there when we found the Thieves Town Small up here for a bit, but then immediate Desert Big bailing out feels pretty good. I mean,
yeah, like Schulzer was very aggressive in some late game skips of slower checks, even as the possibilities dwindled. Skipping left side swamp, pod, big chest. This is going to be a close enough race where those decisions actually won the race for Schulzer. To answer the question in chat, Lamp is probably either after Moldorm 2 or with the Thief in the Pyramid. We're not going to see it.
Alright, so we know that the desert back entrance is in the Dark Death Mountain.
I also totally lied to everyone here when I said we'd seen every big key. We never found Hera Big Key. We're going to continue not finding Hera Big Key unless Landmo drops it, which would be remarkable.
Seems legit. One of those, Silver's to the face, and down goes Landmo. Another map. Hyrule Castle, and we just need to head off to the Lost Woods and finish it off.
Yeah, and we should have dueling Ganons, but Schulzer will be, I think, what, about half the Ganon fight ahead?
Yeah, probably into Phase 4 by the time Ramond gets there. I mean, we are like a Ganon fall apart here. So if something goes horribly
Ganon,
wrong,
Ramond will win this race. I think it's very unlikely that happens, but we are within that kind of margin.
If it does happen, I'm very, very sorry I mentioned it.
I mean, if you fall to Ganon and then lose the race, I mean, you can't say much other than, yeah, I deserve that.
Very nice with the one cycle. Phase 1, quickly into Phase 2 for another one cycle. No issues there. And Schulzer into Phase 3 already. Ramond picking up the spin speed off the stairs there, the hook speed off the stairs there. Yet another one of those tiny time saves you keep talking about.
Shoutouts to you calling right at the start of Phase 4, Ramond starting the Ganon fight. That is pretty exactly correct.
Yep. I mean, I'm not clairvoyant or anything, but it was a pretty easy call to make as Schulzer finishes off the Ganon fight, waiting for the most dangerous 1x3 tile in all of Hyrule to spawn, and then we will cross this bridge and we will be done here.
Have you ever walked into that pit that way?
I think once.
I'll tell you, I did it in a race exactly once. It didn't feel good.
Oof. There we go, Schulzer finishing with an official time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 23 seconds, which is a time that anybody could be proud of on basically any seed, no lie.
I'm also going to throw out there in terms of our ridiculously small time saves. Did anyone else notice Ramond dumping all of his bombs so he had one fewer thing to quick swap between Fire Rod and Silver Arrows?
Wow. GG. And there we go.
And yeah, that's just like a minute apart. This was a fantastic race, honestly. It was very close throughout.
Official time for Ramond, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 4. A grand total of 51 seconds separating our two rowers. What a show. What an amazing show. And this is just the first game between these runners. They gotta take 2 games to finish the series. So it is not over for Ramond, and it is not a foregone conclusion for Schulzer either. It is rough. There is quite a bit more Crosskeys left to go. And then there's, of course, the final boss, Vilos, coming up at the end. We'll see if either of our two runners desire to join us here, if we have the authority to make that happen. To be honest, I have no idea.
Yeah, what a race. The runners will both agree to have both agreed to join us, so here they are. Hello guys,
well, there we
GG.
Are.
Yeah, welcome Ramond, welcome Schulzer, good games, and congrats on the win, Schulzer. As I'm sure you quickly noticed, this was a pretty close race.
Yeah, I knew that I messed up in the beginning not getting the glove out of Desert Palace, and I just hope that in the end it is like the lad where you have to go for your one item go mode, and I chose somewhat correctly. Like I skipped a bunch and just decided to climb, and it worked out today, luckily.
So yeah, in terms of the early game decisions, like the big sort of branch was that Ramond did find that glove way before you, but you went into Ice Palace much earlier and had the hook shot, which as it turned out led to the hammer, and that was kind of the critical thing that opened the seeds. Though that was just sort of the huge fork, and I think it about balanced out.
Yeah, I think it's a mirror, and depending when you get the boots, you probably have an advantage if you get that first. But I could have easily gotten both of the stuff if I just decide to check that one more entrance at the top, and maybe it's not a shit boots, and I can get out again and don't have to skip that one for forever. I think it was almost last occasion that glove for me. Like I had like 2 or 3 bad spots left in the end.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
of course, keep in mind what likely would have happened to you if you checked it. Remember, you would have probably checked desert for connectors, and then you would have come out of the sanctuary bonk rocks, and then you would have been sad.
If I find a Semifinals there, I don't follow connectors in this moment, I think. Like, I want, maybe with the glove, but I can't get the sword out of logic from, I don't know. It's a lot of hard decisions. Like, you get some Mali earlier, so you don't have a bad ice panels. The seed could have been a lot more different if I get the glove first, I think, yes.
Yeah, and given the 51-second gap, I would say there are really two main factors I think cause this. For one, you both learned what the crystal pendant layout was by killing a pendant boss, but they were different pendant bosses. For Schulzer, it was Trinex, and for Ramond, it was Vitreous. Trinex is a faster boss, so that was a bit of time save. And the other factor is, yeah, Schulzer not doing... Well, neither of you did left side swamp, but you were in swamp before GT, so it felt a little more aggressive. And then skipping going for pod big chest and, like, vanilla big key and all that, like, it was only 51 seconds. That easily, you know, that's a lot of the time.
Yeah, against Ramond, I basically know I one have to hit the seed perfectly, or two I have to skip some things, and today I decided I have to skip some things and just say, Ramond probably did this, so I won't do it, and if it's there, he probably would have finished anyway, so it worked out today, maybe. Game 2 will be different. Got lucky a little bit.
Yeah, that was quite a show on both your fronts. And Ramon, you had a wonderful run yourself. You got those, as you said, you got the gloves quite a bit earlier. Got the mirror earlier. This would have been one of those seeds where, if you had tried to go for like the 6 upper strats in Hookshot Cave, it would have worked out in this one case. But again, it's not the... you wouldn't expect that to be a game breaker. And I don't think you were disappointed in that particular aspect. But I thought you did an excellent job as well, and I don't think you have anything to be ashamed of here. I think this is going to be an excellent game too, and I am looking forward to it. What do you think?
Yeah, so yeah, really, that the early game of the seed was very walking simulator-ish with just that one connector into the Dark World. That was very annoying, actually. So even getting the earlier glove and the mirror, I mean, it didn't instantly help that much. I mean, it did lead to early boots, kind of out of logic. But it was somehow hard to strike a balance between going out of logic to do like density checks, where you have a lot of checks, or staying in logic to actually get your progression, which is like just a couple of few checks, which are really bad to get to, actually. So the early game was like really just dragged on forever, and one wrong decision can cost you minutes, basically. Like, I really did not like seeing myself get locked out of desert, basically, before checking that last entrance. Well, at least when I was in a pod area, I did basically scout the mirror in Speckrock Cave, so then I knew, okay, I should probably focus on entrances and just hope that Speckrock Cave, to get to the item, it's actually that rock in desert, because glove seemed like the only logical thing that I got like in the early game. So yeah, in the late game, kinda yeah, I guess I did like just one overword check too many. I was really not sure on where to go, actually, because nothing felt like really good at after Swamp and Pod.
So when you went back into Turtle Rock to get the vanilla big key chest, and you mirrored, you ended up taking the connector, checking Ether Monolith, and doing a couple small things, and then going to the climb. Were you tempted after mirroring to just walk out the door, go straight to GT, and say, there's 5 items up there, that's probably it?
At that point, actually, my main goal was finding Hype Cave. I think we had not found Hype Cave at that point, and it could only be basically in GT entrance or in TR entrance. And I was just gambling on TR entrance being available with it being Hype Cave for 5 checks, but it ended up being the last medallion, which you don't have. It happens very often, kind of, or it's like confirmation bias for me.
That's really a very good point. Because, yeah, you got, like, I didn't realize, I don't think either of us realized that Hype Cave hadn't been found yet from the commentary side, and you hadn't checked what the TR medallion was. Schulzer had checked it much earlier and then gotten there's another one of his tiny time saves. He said, "Oh, Ether on Zora Ledge. I'm not going to swim over there. I already know one of the 2 medallion entrances I don't need. I probably don't need that." And indeed, he didn't.
Yeah, I was actually considering skipping it as well, but it would have been maybe just a little ballsy, like, in the end, if you just need one entrance and it's Ether, and then it's like, okay. But, yeah.
The crazy thing is, like, from the knowledge you had, that was actually incredibly likely, because I'm pretty sure the only entrances we didn't see by the end were the TR and GT entrances. So that's a coin flip Hype Cave right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end. But I think at the moment I found like every single dungeon, I think. Like I found all of them pretty early, and yeah, I just was like, I want this time save, it's probably not required anyways. Like, I don't want to find mids anyway, and I basically did everything but that one ends on the mountain. And I just said, if it's there, then I'm not gonna check it. And yeah, Hype Cave is in TR because the cleaner is in GT. We also never found.
Yeah, so Schulzer is. I know we probably switched to the interview a lot now, but I know Schulzer is currently scouting out GT because just for the, I assume just to figure out where Hype Cave was.
Yeah, and I mean, we also of note, we never found the lamp, we never found the second Castle Tower small key, the wells behind Aga 1. Who even knows what's in there? Probably not a whole lot thrilling. I don't know, the flute?
I was hoping for Ramond that he maybe finds the Castle Tower small key and gets distracted by that while I find a competent GT climb. I mean, I was not happy getting the Seastown small key in the climb after doing Seastown. That was something that I was not very proud of.
Oh yeah. That is one thing you did that Ramond never actually did, was the Thief Sound and Sahazara play.
Yeah, I figured that Ramond without the small key probably never went there, so I just decided this is probably a check that can give me the win, so I went for it.
So we still don't have logical access to the Mai area, right? And to Swamp, so where are either lamp or flute?
I mean, I think the lamp is probably in the Moldron 2 chest or in the pyramid at this point.
So, I mean, I guess it's a good point. We haven't found the 4th GT key either, so, I mean, yeah, who knows? There's a few thin threads. I mean, left side swamp, honestly, probably has our logical...
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that, because you need either Flute or Lamp to get there.
Okay, that's fair, but the other thing we can do is we have everything we need to do Firelocked Mire.
Yes, actually.
Also did?
Oh, yeah. Neither runner did the left side chest in Mire.
Yeah, I mean, and why would they? Because they'd already explored Mire so much earlier in the game. Lamp was seemingly nowhere, and Fire Rod was not in the most convenient location I've ever seen it.
I think there was a GT Big inside Mire in the front, if I remember correctly. At least there was. Oh, the
Ice Big was in Mire.
Oh, that felt like, oh, nice, you get hookshot. Wow, that unlocked the Ice Pen is big. Cool game. Do you want to go back for that one single chest?
I mean, the fun thing with that is you guys entered Mire in different methods, because Ramond used the boots to get in.
Yeah. I have a feeling Ramond had a way better time in Ice Palace than I did.
You had to double dip it either way, it's just whether you did the big chest on trip 1 or trip 2 was the only difference.
And doing it with Somalia and not doing it with Somalia twice.
Yeah, there is that. Ramond did in fact have the King of Somalia going in there. That makes the Fire Rod check just that much easier to get to.
But yeah, fancied a good race. Super stressful against Ramond, he's such a good player. I said in the beginning, like when the tournament started, it's either me, Goomba, or Ramond who's taking this crown this year. And I hope I'm not getting disappointed by Ramond or myself.
I mean, Eyeless is still around and would like to say something about that, I'm sure.
It's gonna be a tough race 2 and 3 against Ramond, for sure. But yeah, thanks you all for getting the Z theme up. I know it was our short notice. Always nice to have a Z theme of a match. Thank you all for that, and see you guys for game 2.
Yeah, thank you everybody, also from my side, and see you around.
Yeah. And once again, I want to thank you both, runners, for putting the next show here. I want to thank our tracker, Breve, for putting up the buttons here, and of course to our restreamers. Baseball started out, Q Game took over there in the middle, and of course my co-commentator, Amazing Ambrose. Thank you so much for joining me today.
And thank you for joining me, Dr. Bob. I mean, it was short notice, inconvenient for everyone. I'm glad we made it happen, though, and that was a great race. Good one to restream.
Well, speaking of joining something, we will now join the Skyward Sword randomizer community over on Zelda Speedruns 1. They are having a race right now of JazzNex08 versus Lepilog, and later today at 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC, we will have another The Wind Waker randomizer race up. If you enjoyed this stream, please consider sharing it with friends, and stay tuned for more Zelda Speedruns content. I hope you liked it, and thank you to everybody participating in this short notice restream, both you chat and also you lovely commentators, trackers, and runners. And then we will see us in the next stream. Goodbye.